Greetings and salutations, Rollinwolf coming at you with another episode of Let's Talk Daggerheart, Beta 1.5. This is episode 4, we're talking communities. Okay, so this is going to be our second half of the heritage section. We covered ancestries last time, and this episode we're going to be taking on the communities. This is the other choice you have to make that impacts your background and lets you kind of inform the character that you are wanting to create. The community that you choose is not necessarily the end-all and be-all to your background, but this is the thing from your background, from your upbringing, that you are choosing to emphasize in your character. This is how you mechanically are saying, you know what, this part of my background, this part of my upbringing is what formed my, just helped informed my character into who they are. Does not mean that, and we'll go through and kind of give some examples as we go. Let me go ahead and knock out the community license. This product was created using the Darrington Press Community Gaming License, the Illuminated World Standard Resource Document, and Darrington Press LLC, all rights reserved. In particular, we are talking about the Beta 1.5 rule set. The finished product is due out in spring of 2025 and will render this stuff obsolete. I'm sure there will be at least minor adjustments. I don't think, well, we'll be surprised. But either way, when the full rules come out, these will get replaced with updated versions using the actual full rules. For now, Darrington Press has been gracious enough to allow us to use these to run games, to be able to discuss with you, the viewers, the beta content, and to make it playable and usable for those of us in the streaming community. So let's crack on and get into the communities. One of your heritage choices. Now, as I discussed, the choice for your heritage, for your community, is not all-encompassing. It can be, but it can also represent a portion of your upbringing, or the significant factor that led you to make that impact onto your character. This is what you want to represent. We're going to start off with the highborn community. As you can guess, this is for characters who have that background of being in that upper echelon of society. They live lives of elegance, opulence, prestige, that upper crust, whether it's nobility or some other rich and powerful or influential part of society. It usually involves living that blessed life, that material wealth, society. You're up at the top, and it can take a variety of forms depending upon your society that you're portraying. But if you want to be the upper echelons, then highborn may be the community for you. Some examples of, and every community has some examples of some individuals are often, and then it gives you some clarifiers. For highborn, we've got amenable, candid, conniving, enterprising, ostentatious, unflappable. This isn't an end-all be-all list, but it's a inspirational list. It's traits that are common to this community. Does that mean that you have to have all of these or any of these? No, not necessarily. But these are good jumping off points to inspire you on how your character may want to represent coming from these types of communities. The community, and each community has either one or multiple features within it to set it out. For Highborn, the feature is privilege. You have advantage on rolls you make to consort with nobles, negotiate prices, or leverage your reputation to get what you want. Also, in the realm of serving the fiction, your Highborn people are going to be people that probably should have a little bit more ability to, whether they have ready coin on hand, that's something for you to decide with your table. I don't think Daggerheart is a game where you necessarily have to obviously be very strict on keeping track of everything that happens as far as coin and expenditures and things like that. And you can tell that by the way they've set it up. You start with a handful of gold, not 7 gold, not 10 gold, a handful. Now, I've had already people go like, well, a handful for a giant is probably going to be much different from a handful for a halfling. Does that mean they get less coins or more coins? No. It spins the same, but it is a vague idea of the amount of wealth you have, right? And it will be the decisions of that table and group on how much they track that and how important a part of the campaign that is. It's definitely not intended to serve as a impediment or something that you should really get too wrapped up in, other than the purposes that it can serve in the narrative, and how you want to address that. But your Highborn community individuals should be able to go to the nice inn in town, eat the luxurious meals, have a little bit of sway with their less socially upward neighbors, and they should have that influence of a Highborn, and that can be played out in the game, decided on how your table wants to approach that. But just keep in mind that their feature is named privilege, so they should feel like they're privileged, and it should be something that you use narratively to set that up. And I'm going to encourage that throughout the communities, and throughout Daggerheart itself. Tell the story that you want to tell. This is a game that doesn't put mechanics first or crunchy bits first. This is a game that serves the narrative first and the story that everybody at the table is wanting to tell. Should be what is going on. And so I encourage you to embrace those things that the players have chosen to emphasize on their character. After Highborn, you've got the Loreborn. Loreborn communities are either academic, political, some sort of knowledge-based community. They have a high value on knowledge, preservation of history, advancement of politics, or literacy, study of science, and things that are knowledge-based. whether it be knowledge of magic or history or mythology. It's still knowledge. And lore-born individuals are often direct, eloquent, inquisitive, patient, rhapsodic, witty. Their community feature is that they are well-read. You have advantage roles regarding history, culture, or politics of a prominent person or place. You are a walking encyclopedia, basically. You are emphasizing your knowledge over these matters. This is what is you're emphasizing if you choose Loreborn, that you do have those bits and pieces of knowledge from your studies, maybe world travel, whatever it is. You have embraced learning for sure. We move on to Orderborn. Orderborn are a collective community that focuses on discipline or faith. You uphold a set of principles, and they should reflect your experiences. Some of the most often you'll find your leadership in the Orderborn community. Even though the Highborns may be the rulers, is often the Orderborn who ensure that those directives are followed out, and you can be an Orderborn from so many different directions, but what it all breaks down to is that you are some sort of principled individual that has commitments and principles that are part of your makeup. They make you who you are. They often are ambitious, benevolent, pensive, prudent, sardonic, stoic. Their feature is called dedicated. You get to record 3 sayings or values that your upbringing has instilled in you. Once per short rest, you can describe how you're embodying one of those principles through your current actions, and you can roll a d20 as your hope die instead of a d12. So that is a pretty potent ability to be able to use once per short rest. And I think it does a very good job of representing someone from a Orderborn community. And the fact that you get to create your 3 sayings or values really allows you to be whatever type of Orderborn principled character you want to be. You could be a knight from a knightly order. You could serve a specific god that is very orderly. You could have certain community ethics or doctrines from your homeland or your society, your community, whatever form this takes. The next community is called Ridgeborn. Ridgeborn communities are you've called rocky peaks, mountainous terrain home, cliffs. You consider yourself a lot of times they're considered hardier than most because they've thrived in such dangerous environments and terrain. Let's see. Ridgeborn individuals are often bold, hardy, loyal, reserved, stubborn. Their community feature is called steady. You have advantage on rolls to traverse dangerous cliffs and ledges, navigate harsh environments, and use your survival knowledge. Additionally, you gain an armor slot at character creation. So you're someone that Ridgeborn folk are rugged individuals. You get advantage on those various situations, and whenever you use your survival knowledge, you get to roll advantage, and you get an extra armor slot. That definitely builds up a way to represent a tough character, and resourceful character as well. We can move on to the next category, being seaborn. These are excellent if you want to represent someone who's spent a lot of time on the water, a seaside village, or a community, some sort of large body of water or running water. I would say as well. You could be someone who lives on the water, or you could be someone who lives in a port and interacts with the water quite a bit. Seaborn are often candid, cooperative, exuberant, fierce, resolute, and weathered as some jumping off points. Your community feature is called Know the Tide. You can sense the ebb and flow of life. When you roll with fear, you get to put a token on your Seaborn card, and you can hold a number of tokens up to your level. Before you make an action roll, you can spend one or more of these tokens to add them as +1 modifiers to your roll. At the end of a session, you clear all of your unused tokens. So, whenever a Seaborn character rolls with fear, you get to pop a token down. Now, at first level, this is going to be a max of 1 token. But as you progress throughout the campaign, you're going to be able to add more and more tokens and use them all at once or individually before you make rolls, and stockpile and put that fear to better use down the road. From there, we move into the Slyborn community. Often, the Slyborn are operating outside of the law. Criminals, grifters, con artists. They're often brought together by disreputable goals and clever means of achieving them. Slyborn individuals are often clever, formidable, menacing, unflinching, shrewd, tenacious. Their community feature is called Scoundrel. You have advantage on rolls to negotiate with criminals, detect lies, or find a safe place to hide. So this is a pretty interesting community, and I can see some interesting uses for it other than just what you would imagine of creating a criminal. I can see creating a guard that was Slyborn, not because he's a criminal, but because he's dealing with the criminals of the setting, the city, whatever it is. He's a member of law enforcement, and therefore he's getting advantage on dealing with criminals, detecting lies, finding hideouts, you know. So maybe a bit unorthodox, but get your gears rolling around on these things, and remember that you can flavor these communities as you see fit as well. So if you have got something in mind that doesn't fit into the categories, or for example, you want to play a inspector or a guard or something of that nature, and want to operate in and be good at these very things, you could choose Slyborn and go that route. You could also go order boarding and then pick up some principles of your guardly character, you know. So there's always more than one way to skin a cat, which has always been a horrible saying in my opinion, but one that is appropriate in this manner. So think about the character you want to make, and then choose the things that let you do what the idea is for that character. Whether that be adjusting some of these communities to fit the desired abilities of your character. Like I said, just because it says it's Slyborn does not mean you have to become a criminal, or you have to be a criminal to be Slyborn. It just gives you advantage on doing X, Y, and Z. So we'll move on to Underborn. Underborn communities are communities that are underground, subterranean. They can range from, you know, family groups to society, to cities, to even kingdoms that are underground. It's your campaign world. You're creating your tale. You decide how it's populated and who lives where. For Underborn, individuals are often composed, elusive, indomitable, innovative, unpretentious, and resourceful, as some starting off points, jumping off points. This is where, if you want to play a character that's really good in darkness, their community feature is low light living. When you're in an area with low light or heavy shadow, you actually have advantage on rolls to hide, investigate, and perceive details in that area. So this is, if you want to play the character that is good in the dark, Underborn community right there is meant for you. We've got 2 more to go. We've got the Wanderborn, which is next up. Wanderborn are going to be your nomads. You don't have a permanent home, experience a wide variety of cultures. Wanderborn are defined by their traveling lifestyle. So think about, you know, what kind of nomads are your people? You know, are you travelers on waterways? Does your community use wagons? Are you more of a hoof it on foot kind of people with backpacks and maybe some pack animals? You can really get into some details and make some very distinctive choices within the Wanderborn community. Wanderborn are often magnanimous, mirthful, inscrutable, reliable, savvy, unorthodox, as some jumping off points. And once again, I will reiterate, you don't have to choose any of those things to represent being a Wanderborn. It's just a broad, in general kind of way you can approach that community. The feature for the Wanderborn is the nomadic pack. You get to add a nomadic pack to your inventory, and once per session, you can spend a hope to reach into this pack and pull out a common item that is useful to the situation. You will need to work with your GM to figure out what that item is, what is considered common, is going to be a contention point for some people, I am sure. I think what they mean by common item is the rarity of the item, as far as, you know, nature of the item. It should be a mundane item or a very commonplace item that may have some mystical purposes or abilities, but it should be something that is common, something that could be found easily and be useful for the situation. Does it necessarily have to be common in the area? No, just a common item as far as rarity goes. Because of them being nomad, because of the nomadic pack and being waterborne, maybe it's not something that's common in this region, but it would be very easily obtained in some other region. Then allow it. But that is going to be a judgment call. If you're concerned with about choosing this, or about the implications of what all you're going to be able to pull out of that pack, discuss it with your game master, and voice your concerns and see if y'all can get on the same page, or at least a generalized idea of what to expect. There's always going to be those in the moment decisions where it may not be seen eye to eye. Ultimately, the decision should come down to what best serves the narrative, and that's a decision to be made at the table. Then we've got our final community in the group, the Wildborn. Being part of a Wildborn community, you grew up some rural area, often think of somewhere very dense nature-wise. Forest obviously comes to mind, but don't think it has to be exclusively forest. I think it's more about the society, as far as the community. They usually have strong religious and cultural ties to the plants that they live among, a more harmony with nature kind of vibe, I would say. But you could also end up with some interesting and unique agricultural or technological advancements that would be more sustainable than short-term, high-yield kind of strip mining situations, or a agriculture that drastically terraforms the terrain from what its natural state would be. Wildborn individuals are often hardy, loyal, nurturing, reclusive, sagacious. Thank you, Darrington Press. I appreciate that one. And vibrant, sagacious. Okay. All right, that was a tricky one. All right, and vibrant. And then the community feature for Wildborn is that they're Lightfoot. They move naturally silent. You have advantage on rolls to move without being heard. You're used to creeping around in nature and needing to do so to either, hunt game, not be hunted as game, or just move without disrupting the flow of life around you. So that brings us to the end of our communities, which this is actually kind of a short episode, being as how quickly we went over that. But I don't think getting into the other little extras of character creation, I kind of want to reserve for after we've discussed domains and classes. So I think we will leave it here. So we've now talked about in episode 2, we addressed a shared understanding of Daggerheart across games, across your game masters. these are kind of the accepted, the core realms, the way magic is, flavoring your game, those things. That's all very important to understand whenever you go into the character creation process. Last thing you want to do is spend a ton of time coming up with a very detailed background that is divergent from that to the degree that it sets things in stone that go against those kind of shared understanding. That's something that needs to be addressed in session 0, if that is the case. Also, we, of course, episode 1 was our overview of session 0 and safety tools. Last episode, we jumped over and took on the ancestries. And then this time we've rounded out and completed the heritage by knocking out the communities. We've got a lot of content coming at you tomorrow. I'm using the royal term now. Yes, we plan on doing these things for you, good citizens. I am going to get the classes taken care of tomorrow, the domains taken care of tomorrow, as well as wrapping up the other things that you need to take care of and take into consideration during character creation. But for tonight, I think we're going to call it. I hope you're enjoying the series. I hope they're helping you to inform your decisions whenever it comes time for you to make a character or answer questions about Daggerheart and what it is all about. Hopefully you'll tune in next time when we'll be continuing on with this, getting the characters creation covered. Once we get done with that, we will be moving into concepts and different mechanics. We're going to discuss duality dice. We're going to break into adversaries, things that you need to do as a GM. We're going to cover it all. We're going to cover the beta. And once we've got those basics covered, I'm going to be discussing, hopefully, my games that I'm going to be running. I am going to be posting some session 0s on Start Play very soon. That will be happening. Session 0s, I'm looking for the first week of November into the second week of November, because I'm going to set up 4 session 0s, Friday, Saturday, Sunday evenings, and then we're going to do one on Tuesdays. But the Tuesday one is going to start after the weekend, since the first Tuesday of November is Election Day, and I don't want to put anything on that. It's very important. I think everybody should go out and vote. The only way we can really make our voices heard and do what we need to do is by voting. And you should be exercising your right if you have it. So please go out there and vote. And we look forward to seeing you next time. And enjoy your evening. And if you have the opportunity to make someone's day better, please do so. It's a rough time. It's a rough world. Everybody's going crazy, especially with the politics and the election going on. So spread a little light in the world and make somebody's day better. Give somebody a little grace. We could definitely all use a little grace. So this is Rollinwolf signing off, and we'll be coming back at you next time, discussing domains, and then we'll get classes knocked out tomorrow as well. But for tonight, you have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.